Welcome to our series of BinSense installation videos. In this video, we'll look at getting a fan controller connected to a BinSense system. Fan controllers connect into the high-voltage wiring of aeration fans and into the low-voltage wiring of the BinSense system. All the high-voltage wiring needs to be done by an electrician, so this video focuses on the low-voltage parts that BinSense installers can do. The BinSense fan controller needs to be installed close enough to the fan that the 6-foot fan electrical cable can reach the fan's electrical control box. The fan controller should be mounted on or near the side of the bin and not directly on the fan. It's important to avoid installing fan controllers directly on aeration fans, as the vibrations generated by fans can damage BinSense fan controllers over time. Use the included feet and screws to mount the fan controller. You can use the optional rubber seals to provide spacing if required. The high-voltage fan electrical cable should be wired into the aeration fan by a qualified electrician, following the wiring diagrams available in the product manual. All of our user manuals can be found by visiting binsense.com/support. Once the fan controller is wired to the aeration fan, electricians can test that it's working properly by putting the fan controller into test mode. Use extreme caution during this testing, as checking the LED in the fan controller requires powering the fan controller with the cover open. To put the fan controller into test mode, disconnect power and set the dip switches inside the enclosure so that switches 1, 4, and 8 are engaged. Turn the power back on and check the status LED on the fan controller circuit board. The LED should do a short blink every couple seconds, indicating that the fan is detected off. Connect the included terminator cap to the fan control cable. This will start the fan. When the fan is running, the LED will do a long blink to indicate the fan is detected on. Stop the fan and disconnect the terminator cap. Repeat as needed to verify that the fan controller is working properly. When you're done testing, shut off the power and restore the dip switches to their original position. BinSense fan controllers can be connected to BinSense Live, Master, or Remote units installed on the tops of grain bins. For new installations with fan controllers, we recommend using a BinSense fan-ready remote unit which gets installed at ground level. For master or remote units installed at the top of a bin, start by running 2 link cables from the top of the bin to the bottom. Use the P-clips included with the cables to secure them to the bin. Make sure there is some slack and that the link cables are not pulled tight or sharply bent over the roof eave. One of the cables should have a male end at the top of the bin, and the other should have a female end at the top. Use a splitter or a terminal box to connect the cable with the male end at the top of the bin to the sensor link cable of the master or remote unit. At ground level, the other end of that link cable gets connected to the fan control cable. This will result in the fan controller getting connected together with all the cables on the bin to the master or remote unit. The other link cable, with a female end at the top of the bin, provides power from the fan controller to the master or remote unit. At ground level, connect that link cable to the fan power cable from the fan controller. For remote units, disconnect the solar panel and connect the link cable from the fan power cable in its place. For master units, disconnect both solar panels and connect the fan power cable to one of the solar link cable connections. On the remaining solar panel connection, snap on the terminator cap. New installations at ground level with a BinSense fan-ready remote are even easier to set up. Mount the fan-ready remote at ground level near the fan controller. Run a single link cable from the sensing cables at the top of the bin to the fan-ready remote unit at the bottom of the bin. For bins with more than one cable, use a splitter or terminal box at the top of the bin to connect all the sensing cables to the link cable. At ground level, directly connect the fan control cable of the fan controller with the fan control cable of the remote unit. Next, connect the link cable coming from the sensing cables to the sensor link cable connection of the fan-ready remote. Finally, connect the fan power cable from the fan controller to the power cable from the remote unit. If you have multiple fan controllers connected to the same master or remote unit, it is important to make sure each one gets a unique fan ID. You can change the fan ID by adjusting the dip switches inside the fan controller. Make sure the power is off before opening the enclosure. Start with fan ID 0, which is all dip switches off. For each additional fan, increase the ID by 1. The fan ID is the sum of the numbers of all the switches that are turned on. For example, if you want fan ID 5, turn on the switches for 1 and 4. The fan ID also adjusts the fan startup delay. The startup delay is a feature that prevents all the fans from turning on at the same time and tripping a breaker. The delay is the fan ID times 15 seconds. So fan 0 will start first, then fan 1 will start after 15 seconds, fan 2 will start 15 seconds after fan 1, and so on.